Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erdan, has received an official notification from the UN Secretary General regarding his decision to include Israel in the blacklist. This notification was attached as an appendix to the UN Secretary General's report on children in conflict areas and includes a list of countries and armed organizations that have not taken adequate measures to improve the protection of children. In response to the decision, the ambassador Erdan said he is shocked by the shameful decision of the Secretary General.
Utterly shocked and disgusted by this shameful decision of the Secretary General. Courtney, you know that Israel's army is the most moral army in the world. So this immoral decision will only aid the terrorists and reward Hamas. And I have to tell you another thing. The only one who is blacklisted today is the Secretary General, whose decisions since the war started and even before are rewarding terrorists and incentivizing them to use children for terror acts. And now Hamas will continue even more to use schools and hospitals, because this decision, shameful decision of the Secretary General, will only give Hamas hope to survive and will only extend the war and extend the suffering.
On the war in the Middle East, Pope Francis has met with the Palestinian and Israeli ambassadors to the Vatican Gardens to pray for an end to the war in Gaza. This marks the 10th anniversary of a similar encounter with the Israeli and Palestinian presidents with a new appeal for peace. Among those present were the Israeli ambassador Raphael Scholz and Palestinian ambassador Issa Kassisieh, as well as representatives of Italy's Jewish and Muslim communities. Pope Francis has tried to toe a balanced line on Gaza after initially angering Israel with comments that were perceived to be supportive of the Palestinians. He has since made sure to also mention Israel's suffering and call for the return of hostages taken October the 7th when he refers to the war. As for other stories, Chinese President Xi Jinping has met with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif in Beijing, pointing out that China and Pakistan are good neighbors who help each other. President Xi said the China-Pakistan all-weather strategic cooperative partnership had continuously deepened and enjoyed solid public support. This comes as China stands ready to work with Pakistan to firmly support each other, strengthen cooperation, deepen strategic coordination. President Xi added that China firmly supports Pakistan in defending its national sovereignty and territorial integrity, following a development path tailored to its national realities and combating terrorism. You're watching The What Now. We'll take a break and return with more stories. Stay with us.
Stay ahead with the biggest news stories. Go beyond the news headlines. Experience impactful investigations. Enjoy resourceful news coverage in real time. TVC News at 7 and TVC News at 10 p.m. Live every day on this channel. TVC News. First with breaking news.
An industrial enterprise in the Kyiv region has been on fire. Reports say, though the fire has been contained, it is still burning as the black column of smoke is visible for tens of kilometers. Meanwhile, figures from the UN shows that the Kyiv region has suffered the heaviest impact of the war. There is more in this report.
A large-scale fire has broken out in Kyiv as a result of an enemy attack. Officials say efforts are ongoing to put out the fire. No casualties was reported from the incident. In the north of the Kharkiv region, reports say the intensity of enemy fire has significantly decreased. This, according to officials, is due to the persistence of the infantry, particularly in Vovshank, as the Russians were driven back from the northern bank of the Vovcha River. The border guards of the Rapid Response Commandant's office, who are destroying the occupiers in the area of Vovshank, showed the situation on the front line. Meanwhile, Russia has accused Ukraine of shelling the Russian-occupied eastern territories of Kherson and Luhansk, leaving at least 25 dead. This comes as Kherson and Luhansk were among 4 Ukrainian territories Russia claimed to have annexed in September 2022 following its full-scale invasion. The international community, aside from North Korea and Syria, does not recognize the annexation. In another development, a United Nations humanitarian official has told Security Council that the civilian toll of attacks on Ukraine has continued to mount. This comes as the Kharkiv region has been reported to be suffering the highest impact.
The civilian toll of attacks on Ukraine has continued to mount. Few parts of the country are spared from these hostilities, particularly in the east and south. But an escalation in fighting in the Kharkiv region since the 10th of May has had the heaviest impact. Civilians who remain in border and frontline areas in Kharkiv face dire conditions. Many are cut off from access to food, medical care, electricity, and gas. Elderly people are disproportionately affected because they are often unable or reluctant to leave their homes. In northern Kharkiv, where the fighting is heaviest, more than half of those killed or injured have been over the age of 60.
As the Russia-Ukraine war continues, the International Organization for Migration has estimated that at least 18,100 people in the Kharkiv region have been newly displaced.
And moving on now, the Macrons are hosting the Bidens for a state visit in Paris. President Biden and Jill Biden were greeted with an official ceremony. The President of the United States of America is on a working visit or a working lunch with President Macron. President Joe Biden is also scheduled to attend a state dinner at the Élysée Palace. And to some sports now, the Paris Olympics organizers have unveiled a display of the 5 Olympic rings mounted on the Eiffel Tower. This is as the French capital marks 50 days until the start of the Summer Games. The structure of rings made of recycled French steel was displayed on the south side of the 135-year-old landmark in central Paris, overlooking the Seine River. Each ring is 9 meters in diameter. Thousands of athletes will parade through the heart of the French capital on boats on the Seine along a 6-kilometer route in the opening ceremony on July the 26th. The tower will feature prominently in the July the 26th to August the 11th Paris Games and the following Paralympics. And still on sports, Jamie Vardy has signed a new 1-year contract at Leicester City. The Foxes were recently promoted to the Premier League after a season in the Championship. The 37-year-old striker who joined Leicester in 2012 and scored 20 goals in 37 appearances during their 2023-24 Championship winning campaign. Vardy, who has won the Premier League and FA Cup during his time at the King Power Stadium, is third on the club's all-time goal-scoring list with 190 goals in 464 games.
Hi, Leicester fans. Absolutely delighted to have signed another year extension. Can't wait to have you all supporting us again next year back in the Prem. Look forward to seeing you all very soon.
And still on signings, Chelsea have signed Fulham defender Tosin Adarabioyo on a free transfer, with the 26-year-old joining the Blues on a 4-year deal. Chelsea will hope the towering defender can help improve their record in both attacking and defensive set pieces.
There's a lot of players, you know. I'd say Ronaldo, Zidane, Lampard, Drogba. They were inspirational players and players that did crazy things for this football club and for football in general. All for sure, they're big moment players. They always step up and perform on the big stage, which is what I'm here to do.
The world now this hour. For more updates on the stories we're monitoring,